Folks, you notice the leading economists aren't making much fun of Bidenomics anymore. They're thinking maybe it works to build from the middle out and the bottom up.
For the first time in more than 2 months, President Biden uttered the word he's campaigned on for the past few years, but has seemingly abandoned with the rest of the Democratic Party: Bidenomics. Axios has actually kept track of Biden's use of the word, and you can see the heavy decline since last year. In June of 2023, Biden mentioned Bidenomics 29 times. However, in 2024, Biden has only used the phrase a total of 3 times. His Tuesday mention was the first since January 25th. And look, it's not just Biden giving up on the phrasing either. Congressional mentions of Bidenomics on social media or press releases have steadily decreased as well. Between April of 2023 and March of 2024, Quorum looked at X posts, Facebook posts, press releases, floor statements, and newsletters to constituents. And here's what they found. They found that mentions of Bidenomics by congressional Democrats dropped during the fall and now have nearly disappeared to less than a dozen a month. Republicans, on the other hand, can't stop saying it, using it nearly 500 times this month in public statements. So why is Biden abandoning Bidenomics? Well, first off, he allegedly didn't like the branding to begin with. I'm not so sure I believe that, but nonetheless, Biden told reporters last June, quote, "You guys branded it. I didn't. I never called it Bidenomics. Let's get it straight. The first time it was used was in the Wall Street Journal, okay? I don't go around beating my chest, Bidenomics." But okay, listen, if you don't like Bidenomics, then don't use the phrase Bidenomics. But I do want to address why Biden very likely isn't engaging in the same economic messaging. I don't think that it's worked out so well for him. A lot of Americans are pretty sour on the economy, and it's not a great political strategy to keep repeating that the economy is doing great under your watch when Americans are increasingly frustrated. But it goes past the branding. Biden has been shifting away from Bidenomics as part of a broader move toward trying to energize his base ahead of the election, instead of trying to convince swing voters that the economy is better than what they tell pollsters. Biden has recently been struggling to turn the economy around, or at least the economic approval ratings that he's experiencing as we head toward the presidential election this November. According to Vox, voters have mentioned economic issues, think inflation, jobs, and more, as their greatest concern since 2022 in a long-running and ongoing Gallup survey. Another February Morning Consult Bloomberg survey of voters in swing states also found that the economy is the most important issue and could therefore decide the outcome of the election. Honestly, no shocker there.
A lot of mainstream media don't give you honest news. We do. You know why? Because of you. Paid membership on YouTube makes all the difference. Hit the join button below and you become the hero that sustains us.
Many Americans also think that the economy is not better under Biden. They think it's worse. Economic confidence plummeted significantly during the COVID-19 pandemic. And while Biden had no control over the pandemic-rattled economy he inherited from President Trump, Biden's really been unable to dig the US out of that hole in some ways. For instance, some of Biden's policies have also added to the distrust, seeing as some families have slipped back into poverty after some pandemic era programs like the child tax credit expired. As a reminder, this is what was provided.
In March of 2021, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan. The nearly $2 trillion relief package, passed with only Democratic votes, extended unemployment benefits, sent stimulus checks to individuals, ramped up food stamps and housing assistance, and significantly expanded the federal child tax credit, or CTC. Pre-pandemic, that credit gave parents up to $2,000 per child. It came with an earnings requirement and was paid in one lump sum at tax time. But the rescue plan raised the credit to $3,600 per child under 6 and to $3,000 for kids under 18. Half the amount came in monthly payments. And for the first time, even parents with no taxable income were eligible for the full amount.
It was like I was able to come up for a little air.
Would you say that the benefits kind of took care of all your problems?
I wouldn't say it took care of all of them, but it took care of enough for me not to worry as much.
The woman you heard from is Daphne Chapman, and she and 4 children live in Ville Platte, Louisiana, which is a town where 40% of its residents live in poverty. So that was a godsend. That child tax credit was so important for her, especially after she lost her job due to the pandemic. But once the extension died in Congress, meaning the child tax credit extension, it was a pretty hard blow to low-income families. Chapman told PBS NewsHour that she wrote 1,100 job applications as she tried desperately to find a stable job. Luckily, she is employed now. Biden is making some strides to help the economy. Wages are kind of starting to catch up with inflation in some areas. Unemployment rates are still very low, and the stock market hit an all-time high. But there still needs to be some improvement made. And honestly, I do think that he's suffering some political consequences for not fighting for the child tax credit, for not making that a permanent program that helps to lift families with children out of poverty. Once Americans experience a successful program like that and then it's taken away from them, they're not gonna be so happy about the economy. I think that he's experiencing backlash from that. And maybe killing the term Bidenomics is not such a bad idea, because I do remember when Obama would visit, certain parts of the country that were not doing so well economically speaking, and then he would brag about how great his economy was. He suffered the consequences of that. There was backlash from voters as a result of that. Hillary Clinton's the one who suffered the brunt of that backlash. But you can't say that the economy is doing great when on the ground, hardworking Americans are still struggling despite the fact that they're working long hours and doing everything they can to make ends meet and to put food on the table. So we'll see how this plays out for Biden. I think that it would be a bad idea to entirely abandon economic policies. I think that a lot of Americans do care about the economy and they want to see what kind of policies will be championed by both sides of the aisle. So if he's planning on completely stopping any conversation about necessary economic policies, I don't think that's a good idea. Going around the country bragging about your economy when a lot of Americans do not perceive the economy to be doing so well, that's, I really do think it's a good idea to drop the bragging and focus more on what he can accomplish in the future. And then he's got to actually fight for it, unlike what we saw with the extension of the child tax credit.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.